January the 11th, 2011 was a sad day for maritime Ireland, as the last remaining foghorns around the 7,800-kilometre coastline were switched off by the Commissioner of Irish Lights and several harbour boards due to advances in navigation. This story begins in Crosshaven, a little coastal village at the entrance to Cork Harbour, where a local pub, Cronin's, decided to host an evening of remembrance, storytelling and sea shanties. The locals gathered, as well as a wide array of mariners including sailors, fishermen, lighthouse keepers and the rescue services, and all in memory of the great foghorns of our past.
My name is Gerald Butler, and I would be a third generation lightkeeper on both sides of my family. The story of the Irish Lights goes way back into the 1600s, when the first lights were established on the Irish coast. They would have been beacon lights. Just when a sailing ship came over the horizon, all it would see is just the glow in the sky at night from these beacon lights. That was in the 1600s. They progressed then through the 1700s. So during the 1800 period, nearly all of the lighthouses around the Irish coast were built. What this meant then was that when a sailing ship came over the horizon now, it'd sit out off the coast, about 20 miles off, and it'd see the flash of the lighthouse. Every lighthouse has a different character. Some would have 2 flashes, 3 flashes, 4 flashes, 5 flashes, and the seconds between them would be different as well. So then these lighthouses, or the ships could see the light, they'd count the flashes. This information was recorded on an international book of lighthouses, buoys and beacons, and every ship carried it. So the ships were able to count the flashes, go through the book, and they knew exactly where they were.
Well, I suppose eventually it had to come, you know, because ships aren't needing it anymore. Like they have this CC, whatever you call that, sat nav, and they don't need it, you know. And I suppose, like everything else, moves on, you know, time with time. But I never minded it when we were at the lighthouses when I was young. I never minded it at all, because you go to bed and you go to sleep, and maybe when it would be stopped, you'd wake up and you'd wonder what's up, you know. And then you know that the foghorn had stopped, you know. You know, the fog siren, we used to call it foghorn.
Too long on the sea, my old boat and me. No moon and no stars for the guide. The fog has come down like a shroud all around. I could do with some friends by my side. Here's the chorus now. To be calling me home, calling me home. Trumpets of angels be calling me home.
A lot of the fog signals that were introduced were explosive fog signals, and we used compressed air both in diaphones and in sirens. And a lot of them had these electric emitters put in place. These emitters give out a very high-pitched sound, just like what you're hearing that has been recorded from Roach's Point. But the original fog signals had a very deep, hollow, very low sound, but extremely loud, and a good carrier with it. We would pump up air to about 30 pounds of pressure into 8 or 9. I don't know what the capacity of these receivers were, but they were colossal big air tanks. And when the siren would blow, or the trumpet would blow, it would drain all that air, and you could hear the engines pumping it up again. We'd have 2 6-cylinder engines pumping the air all the time. The main purpose of them was just to make noise around the rock. But they were all given character. It was easy enough to put a character into them. A character would be so many hoops every few minutes or whatever, you know. And they've continued right up until the present moment, and thus just the other day the last of them were closed down.
If I could just hear that sound, I'd be sure of my ground. I would plot my course straight and true. So be calling me home, calling me home. Trumpets of angels be calling me home. home.
My name is John Tatton. I'm LOM, which is Lifeboats Operation Manager with Ballycotton Lifeboat. And Ballycotton Lifeboat is 10 miles to the east of Roach Point here, which is just to the east of Crosshaven. During my life, I've lived primarily at Ballycotton, and just 1 mile off the shore there, we had Ballycotton Lighthouse with a light and fog signal. During the times before, prior to having navigation systems, radar systems, GPS, the focal point for people picking up the land would have been the flashing light at Ballycotton before they'd see the light at Roach's Point coming from the east, and obviously coming from the west would have been the old Helican sail. I think it's absolutely appalling, to say the least, that we're losing the fog signals. There's still a lot of small vessels, whether it's pleasure vessels or inshore fishing vessels, that still today, this day, we'd say mainly even, you know, adults that haven't got used to modern technology like GPSs and whatever, and they still depend on the original things that they had, like the light and the fog signal for their navigation in you know, times when you'll have fog, or even at night for the light, obviously, you know. I think it's disastrous, and very, very disappointed that the funding can't be found somewhere to continue the service. And I mean, we're only looking forward to the day when the light is going to be switched off. And then all the lighthouses around the coast are going to be in total darkness. Far cry from where we were. This is, in my estimation, just backwards we're going. I mean, back in 85 of that, we had people on the lighthouses. Then the lighthouses were automated, right? And now the automation of the foghorn and the lighting time is going to go. Disastrous, absolutely.
Calling me home, calling me home. Trumpets of angels be calling me home.
So is this the end of the Foghorns of Ireland? Will we ever hear the soundtrack of the sea call out to us again on those lonesome, foggy, white evenings? For now, we can just continue with our memories and have a blast for the past.